Greetings, geeks. Welcome to episode 791 of Geeks in Space. I'm Rob Commander Takamolda, and joining me, of course, in pretend low Earth orbit, as usual, we have Chris DeBona.
Hi.
And Rob Roseboom.
Hello.
Gentlemen, we're alive, we're intact, nobody got wet. I spelled zip file wrong when I submitted the story.
Well, there's
How'd
a lot
you
of
spell
letters.
it? Xi.
Well.
File.
Well, no, that was intentional. You didn't want to cause any confusion.
Yeah, I didn't want the headline to get rewritten as postal
right.
file or postal code file. That was the story. Windows 11, a shipping operating system shipped by a billion-dollar company and installed on millions of computers, is identifying zip files as postcode files because
The postcode file.
that's what they call zip codes in the UK.
Oh, sure. You know, why not? It's the UK. They can suffer.
They can suck it up.
It's like color with a U. Zip files are now
Postcode files.
Postcode files. It's okay.
How do you unpostcode a zip file? There was another one a few weeks ago, actually. I think they were saying that, and maybe this is related to this, but that RAR was finally being built in.
It's built into
Windows 11, which, I mean, for all those people who registered their copy of Unrar X.
All three of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that one too. All right. So the next one, the Redditor creating QR codes with stable diffusion, that's actually really friggin' cool. So my apologies to our podcast listeners, but you really should like and subscribe to the YouTube version of Geeks in Space, because now we're looking at a really cool image. It's a QR code, but it's an anime girl. But they use stable diffusion to render QR codes. They've got houses, sort of like an old timey looking Japanese like housing village, but they apparently work as QR codes.
That's fantastic.
But they don't really look exactly like QR codes. It's just kind of gorgeous.
Yeah, it's really something.
Yeah, that one looks like watercolors.
Yeah. That's really pretty special, actually. I like that a lot.
I just, we get pretty hung up on QR codes, or I'm sorry, on AI art and how it's ultimately going to destroy the world and to cost every artist and ultimately every human being their job, and empower 5 oligarchs to control 98% of the world's wealth. And it's going to do all of that, but it's also going to do this.
Yeah. Well, you remember growing up or just in everyday life, the term starving artist, it's like, I think that it's actually going to take a lot of AI and make less money. It's basically, instead of lifting up the artists, it's going to pull down the AI's revenue generating capability.
You think that's what's going to happen?
Yeah, I think it's more likely than taking money out of the hands of working artists. It's more likely just to bring down the value of AI.
That's fair.
But that's a pessimistic approach, I admit.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm preparing myself to be the best pet available.
Yeah. Well, it's the thing when I hear people come into, AI is going to kill us all. AI is dangerous. 3D our minds. Blah blah blah. I'm like, it's listening.
It knows.
It's listening.
I can't wait to be like a purse dog for a Gundam. Is what I want to do, right?
A little pocket dog.
Yeah,
that's my goal.
Woof.
You're the best Gundam.
Whoa. All right. Did we talk on Tuesday?
We talked
about the Blackberry movie.
No, we talked like a couple months ago about it. I haven't seen it yet.
Because I mentioned this last night, so Rob's already heard me say this, but I wanted to just say this movie is very much worth watching.
I can't.
I'm not going to tell you that it's like a good world-class movie or anything. It's actually kind of a little weird and a little bit fucked up. But Glenn Howerton is really good in it. Playing like the monster a-hole CEO guy.
Bill Bales or whatever.
Yeah. But the main thing
Or
to
Jim Bales.
me is that this movie is kind of set like between most of it is between like 98 and 2002, like the .com bubble era. And a lot of it is like a startup, and then it kind of gets a little bigger. Like all of these notes are going to be familiar to somebody who perhaps worked at a VA Linux systems sort of startup. The sets and sort of the environments and the some of the background personalities. The lead personalities are whatever. That's kind of what the story about. I enjoyed the background, the setting.
I'm really looking forward to sitting down and watching it. You know what I mean? It's, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one.
And
for lot of
a few of these people, I mean, not literally, but you do.
Well, not for nothing. Jim was giving a talk at this, not supper club, but this thing I go to in London. But it was the same day as my daughter's graduation, so I didn't go. And I was like, oh, you know, because I really wanted to go and say, hey, you know, I worked on Android, you know, but I didn't
Womp
see what
womp.
it did. But you know, everyone's like, oh, iPhone killed them. I'm like, yeah, but Android really killed them. You know. So.
Sure, keep telling yourself that.
No, it's really true because you know the BlackBerry software,
The Bolt.
you know, the back end stuff, BIM, what was it called? The BlackBerry Messenger software that you would run inside the company. It was incredibly hostile with iPhone. And meanwhile, we were basically tracking against, you know, BlackBerry performance because so many of the executives at Google used them like crazy, you know, and so we had to beat it. Or we were never going to get like Eric Schmidt to use it, right?
Right.
So yeah.
The movie actually kind of is playing around with that on the surface, but it's more they don't they mostly frame the middle of the company. The middle of the movie sort of frames the telcos as the bad guy, and then the last third is just Apple. It's just the iPhone.
Well, it's weird too because you know Nortel was right there in town with them, so I always wondered why they didn't have a better relationship with Nortel. But
well, if this movie is to be believed, it might have something to do with their leadership.
Yeah, maybe.
No, it's but
I gotta watch the movie.
Very worth watching. It's an easy watch. It's short.
It's got Martin Donovan. Holy crap!
It's got a lot of folks in it, and the guy who plays like the other technical lead is the director, which I thought was interesting. I didn't know that until I looked at it afterwards.
Who's the director? I'm sorry.
So there's Glenn Howerton and Jay Baruchel are the leads, but there's kind of like a dorky like other tech lieutenant, and he's the director.
Oh, nice.
And it's funny because he's playing a real goofball character.
Martin Donovan, man, boy, that guy gets around. I think I first saw Martin Donovan in a Unbelievable Truth, I want to say. Where did I first see him?
Don't know. So we've got a story about a mechanical watch made from Apple e-waste, which is
this is charming.
It is. It's exactly what you think. Somebody hollowed out an Apple Watch and made it into a little real watch. So when the apocalypse comes, you know, and we don't
won't be able to tell that their heart is doing, but you know,
yeah, you won't be able to get on the Wi-Fi anymore. You know,
look at that. He carved out a little apple.
Can you put the screen up on screen?
Oh,
for us?
I'm sorry.
There you go.
I'm out of practice. Look at that. Look at a little apple. It's so cute.
Yep. Can you back up to the front face slide?
Yeah. Let me get to it.
Boo, 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 boo. There you go.
Tourbillon.
It's elegant.
Tourbillon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the mechanism. I don't think it has room for a tourbillon. But yeah.
I don't know anything about watch engineering except that I'm told that it's very precise.
Ah. Have you now?
Yep.
Zen has his mouth open. Okay.
Nope.
I have nothing to add to the mechanics of how a watch works.
They go round and round. The next one we got we got another good one. This is a Rob story, I think, about a TikToker who broke into Busch Gardens.
Yeah, into the alligator pit so that he could make an awesome video. And then he pretended to be the crocodile hunter when he was in there.
No.
Yeah, well, at least breaking out the crikey, that's a big one line. I don't think he jumped on one's back and tried to wrestle it. But I don't know that for sure. It's just so anyway,
During the
authorities
video, Percival refers to multiple people who tell him to get out as Karens. Jesus,
Yeah.
what an asshole.
You're
So
trespassing. And not only are you trespassing, you're in the alligator pit.
Jesus, what
Yeah.
an asshole. Honestly, I wish that the alligator had taken a leg off.
Ouch, that's harsh.
No, seriously, like this kind of person, we'd be better off if the alligator had just killed him,
Dude.
Yeah.
No,
Because
seriously. I mean, we have a
the
lot of people on the planet, okay?
the
We don't need
problem
this guy.
is
He's a prick.
he fucked around, but he did not find out.
He did not find out.
So
Thank
it's
you.
very important that you occasionally you find out.
I mean, this guy's a piece of crap, And also, what's going to happen, right? An alligator, a totally normal, reasonable alligator is going to eat this dummy, and then the alligator's going to die, right? You know what I wish, actually, let me take it back. I don't want an alligator to kill him. I want him to go inside the alligator thing. I want him to yell at everybody, calling them Karens for keeping him from putting his finger up the gator's butt or whatever. And then he falls, hit his head, right? And then he falls into like the water feature for the alligators, and he chokes before anyone can come and help him.
Oh,
and then
in my scenario,
dead,
in my scenario,
and the alligators look at him going, "Ugh, I don't even want to eat that guy. He's an asshole."
Yeah, in my scenario, he hits his head, and then he wakes up, and now he's married to one of the alligators, as is their custom.
Oh, that is the custom.
And
that's
he
the
has
law.
to.
We don't make the law. We don't make the law.
He has to lay on the nest to keep it warm now.
Come on, do you want to punch this guy in the face?
So
as Gator Bride,
getting him out is really hard because all the alligators are invested in him warming their nest.
And also, who looks at this and doesn't go, "Oh my gosh, the alligators and the turtles, they're getting along like crazy. I'm going to go mess that up." Who's the jerk who messes up this reptile party? Well, I don't know, herpetology party, right? But yeah, this is an idyllic expanse. They're all happy. They're all fat. We got a bunch of turtles who are getting fatter and having a good time.
Look
Who
at that
ruins
chunky
this?
tail. Look at that
Look at
chunky
this.
tail.
It's an absolute unit of a tail. This is an anti-standard happy alligator. Who wants to mess that up?
That guy.
That jerk.
He wants
Jacob
he wants to be TikTok famous.
He's a fucking prick. Well, at least they did arrest him.
Yeah, he got something at least.
Good. He's gonna do great in prison, especially in Florida.
I can't wait to see what TikToks he makes there.
Yeah, right.
Dancing in jail.
I'm gonna go prank the head guy in the in the Hispanic gang or the.
All right, guys, I have to store my phone in my prison wallet, but I'll be back with more content in a couple of hours after lights out.
He threw rocks at those nice turtles and alligators. I want this guy to pay.
He's garbage, but I don't wish physical harm upon him.
Please, Rob. Of course you do.
Yeah, he needs to find out.
He needs to find out. Yeah. Think of all the friends that gator and those turtles have in the joint. Just saying.
I'm sure they're delightful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I do watch a fair bit of like people who do like the urban exploring stuff, and like you can see lots of videos of people sneaking around in Disney theme parks like after hours and stuff. And I will watch that. I got a lot of time for that.
Did you see the person who left the ride, the Galaxy Guardians of the Galaxy ride in Florida?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, they had a breakdown, and so she just decided she was done. So she left, and everyone's like, "Oh, okay." And so then they had to shut down the whole ride. And yeah, I'll find it. It was just like, oof.
There's a really entertaining one. I can't remember their names. It's like Chief and something else. And it's like these VHS tapes that these guys made like in 92, 93, where they kept getting off of like the ride of imagination or whatever. And they did this like over the course of like years.
At Epcot?
Yeah, and they had a whole routine worked out where they would wait for gaps in the line, and then they would sneak out and explore the ride while it was running.
Oh man, that's
Uh,
Jeez.
dangerous.
yeah, and the video is actually kind of heartfelt. It's got some like really weird cheap animation. But I mean, and not to spoil it or anything, but this is
Die.
made like 30, 40 years after the events in their videotape, and one of the guys dies. Not as part of this, unrelated. He gets cancer and dies decades later. So his buddy, his partner in their shenanigans, sneaks his ashes into Disneyland, and there's the closing of the video is him dispensing his buddy's ashes near the old ride, which is like right on. I don't think Disney likes when you do that.
No, they've had a problem with
Yeah,
people scattering ashes at Disneyland. Oh, that's funny.
I'll
I
dig up
guess.
that video. It's
Yeah, if you Google Disneyland and ashes scattering, there's a ton of stories.
oh,
And Disney's like, would you please not do this?
it's kind of gross, guys. We don't like
From
that.
time to time, guests do ask permission to disperse ashes on park premises. The answer is always no.
No. Look, we have two rules. You can't put our characters on kids' tombstones ever for any reason, and no spreading ashes around in our parks.
Yeah.
So we've got a story about canine dogs.
Wait. We have
Oh.
one more thing we have to cover.
What's that?
So whenever you talk about Disney and death, you have to mention the people mover in Disneyland. And the reason why they removed it, it was basically a ski lift ride,
Yeah.
because it started to be called the people remover because a bunch of teenagers would get drunk and hop off, So, yeah.
There was a lot of space on either side of those carts. It's actually kind of amazing that more people didn't. Like,
Well, you're thinking about the Disney World
oh,
one.
I am, I guess.
Disney
Yeah.
World one
I've never been to
was
Disneyland.
Yeah, Disneyland was more like a it was way more exposed,
Mm.
And so here, let me find a picture of it. It was GM presents the People Mover of Tomorrow.
Not like in Disney World where it was the Wedway People Mover.
Well, before that it was a GM thing. So was the cars. Yeah.
I mean, it seems like they should have known it was dangerous when they called it the Mangler,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
And let it ride through
okay,
the ride where there's
Yeah.
Stitch escapes. That's really close.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think that's the right. I think that's the same one. Yeah, it is. But yeah, it's so the place I used to work. One of the things I proposed in 2007 that we partner up with Disney, we bring it back, and you're a packet on the internet, and as you go through, because all these things have a fun theme,
Yep.
right? And so we bring it back safely, of course. But you're a packet on the internet going from router to router to the user from the server, brought to you by Google and all the rest. And like the guy in charge of facilities and the marketing person's just like, I don't even know where to go with this. And I'm like, where's your head? I can do this for less than what you paid for that stupid pop-up in London.
Where do we go with that? That's actually a really good idea,
It
especially if it's
was a
branded by
good
Google.
idea.
Yep.
Right? It would have been
Yeah.
perfect. You could have done it for like under like $50 million. And,
You can have a fork in the road where you have to choose if you want to go out to the internet or to DevNull.
DevNull.
Ba-ba-bum.
And it's like, if you're in Europe, if you're at, Euro Disney, you can't write it because you have to click on something that approves.
Yeah, you just have to spend the whole time clicking no, I don't accept.
GDPR.
I thought maybe you have to go under a blanket so no one can tell who you are. Then you sit in that under a blanket, and then they let you know when you've arrived and you get out.
That reminds me of a story that I didn't put on the list, but it's kind of depressing. There's a plugin for a popular web browser called I Don't Care About Cookies. And this plugin just basically accepts whenever those pop-ups occur, it just accepts it without wasting your time. So if you don't care about cookies,
problem is you have to trust the extension writer.
Well, now here's the story. This extension got bought by a company who has apparently a bit of a reputation, and now people are pissed because there's no identification to that it was a change of ownership. And of course, the App Store doesn't care. They are not going to do anything about this. But the thing that I found amusing about it is somebody then forked the code and created there's an alternative. I still don't care about cookies, which just does the exact same thing, but isn't owned by a company that is apparently has a reputation.
By Norton LifeLock. That's who bought them.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. But don't worry, that's fine. That happens, and the people responsible for that app store bear no responsibility whatsoever,
No.
and shouldn't do anything about it. They should just leave that alone.
Yeah. Or they should sponsor a ride at Disneyland.
Or yeah,
Epcot, yeah.
Yep. Click here to ride your packet into the end of the world.
Like SpaceX should sponsor Mission Space and reform it. Like they're updating all the rides. They should.
Yeah, but they only update them now to include
You know what it is?
Marvel IP.
Yeah, that's true. But honestly though, they're coin operated. You go to them with enough money, they'll be like, "Cool, sounds great, let's do it."
Say what you want about that, but the Hulk people mover is my favorite.
Yeah, but everybody gets smashed.
You laugh, but there is a Hulk ride at Universal Studios. It's basically a roller coaster.
A roller coaster.
The way they did it in Florida. I mean, this is an old ride, and it was before Universal got their stuff together and did Harry Potter and all that stuff. It's like you're being shot out of a butthole, and then you go through like a Spider-Man web.
Crikey!
But everyone who goes to it, they look up and they're like, "Is that his butthole?
The devil's anus."
It's such a weird ride.
You have to enter through the Busch Gardens Alligator Pit.
Well, there's an old comedy routine. I think it was Bill Burr talking about Busch Gardens. Basically, it's a zoo next to a brewery, next to a amusement park. It's like America's most fragrant amusement park. And I've been to Busch Gardens a zillion times. I've had family who worked there when I go to Tampa. So we would get in for cheap. And it's like, yeah, that place smelled. God, the smell that came off the zoo mixing with the brewery yeast smell, like you're like, oh God, like your eyes would water. It was like getting it was poison gas, the ride, it was kind of amazing.
Rob, you want to tell us about the canine dog story?
Oh, it's just they have started to review police body cams about canines because for a long time the knock has been that the dogs absolutely can detect drugs or contraband, but also sometimes they just really want to play with the ball, and they know if they alert, they get to play with the ball, right?
Right.
And and of course I'm sure not most, but some unscrupulous policemen would do something to make the dog, react, and then they would say, "Okay, now we have probable cause." So now they're reviewing body cam footage of dog work, and they're finding that those things are exactly true, as will come to no surprise to anyone who's ever. It's actually happened to me before that I've been in a vehicle where they brought a canine with no contraband in it, nothing illegal in it whatsoever, and the dog supposedly alerted, and we had to have the car searched. So it's just nonsense. It's just like a formality so that they can look in your car if they really want to.
Yeah, and they have deniability or whatever.
Yep,
for sure.
Yeah, but we're not a police state.
No. Also, once, funnily enough, interestingly enough, we know a mutual person that we all know who maybe I lived with for a little while. Once we were pulled over in Zealand, and
oh my,
and asked to have the car searched, during which they found some particularly old fast food wrappers that had grown a mushroom that was in the car so long. And
like
he held it
mushroom,
like
no,
like a filth mushroom,
like clean your damn car,
like garbage, like
garbage people mushroom.
The earth reclaiming the filth that we left behind, right? So the officer held up this clearly filth mushroom, and then accused us of having psilocybin mushrooms and getting high off of it.
Like, okay, take it.
You
Yeah. I was like, he's like, we can have this tested. I'm like, well, first of all, you really can't. I doubt very seriously you have a myconologist on staff
In
at the Ottawa County
Zealand.
Sheriff's Department. But beyond that, go ahead, please show that to someone and say, is this drugs?
I'm having trouble finding a good visual for this one.
That would be a good
I saw one.
a good captcha
There.
test. Is this drugs or not?
Is this drugs or not? There you
Click
go.
all the squares,
just
all
go
the
with
tiles that
mushroom
contain
car.
drugs.
There you go. Mushroom car.
All right, what are you guys doing to this? Are you getting high off of this?
You getting high off of the Koopa?
Sir, that's not even a portabella.
Yeah.
Not good. So Georgia is getting its first nuclear reactor. The United States is getting its first nuclear reactor in 40 years. And the story is actually interesting just
Approved
because
in 2012.
Yeah, they're saying the article like mentions like in 2012 people were spazzing because it's nuclear power and we're all scared of it, and now it's all like, hey, maybe this is our only chance.
Yeah, I mean,
I remember when she approved this. Yeah.
I wish we would get over this because honestly, it's one of the cleanest bits of energy that we have right now that we can.
And we
really
need more
start cranking up.
electricity. You know, we're not going to have Elon Musk's electric future without it. You know, so
That's right. Our grid is not ready to charge 100
all
million
those
cars.
No, it's not. We have
just
100
not.
and some million cars in the United States, and
I mean, the grid out here isn't even ready to carry electricity to all the homes.
well, GM and Ford both mentioned some deal with Tesla start using the superchargers.
Yeah.
I'm predicting fights at the superchargers. That's going to be like the story when they finally, if they actually do this, and this isn't just Tesla violating and spleen venting. Yeah, I'm predicting awesome electric car fights. Like some guy pulls in a Mustang, and there's like a Tesla guy going, you know, and then they'll fight. It'll be great. They'll be like bum fights, but electric car fights.
Because
You
their
can charge for
plugs
that shit.
because their plugs are incompatible.
World Star.
Yeah.
Bam,
I would say there's going to be a whole new line of YouTube videos I have to watch.
because people are going to come out from their thing, and some guys unplugged their car and plugged in his car, and then they're going to start bashing cars, and then, hey, what you doing, man? And they'll be like, motherfucker, you unplugged me. And you go, bam, bam, World Star. It'll be great.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've got this
every
whole
Every morning I go and I check my burning Zambonis search. I check,
you got Google
road
alerts.
rage, and now I'll have to search for electric car fight.
See, I just have Google alerts set up to send me alerts about movies. I like movies.
I don't think you're
Google
using
alerts,
that tool.
Honestly,
extent.
Speaking of my former employer, I volunteered to take over Google Alerts like 3 times. I'm like, man, give me Google Alerts. It'll be amazing, because it used to be really good, and there was something called Google Sets. Do you remember this?
I think I do.
That
Oh
tool.
yeah.
Amit Patel wrote that inside the company. Man, that thing was cool. You would put in like, well, here's an example that's easy, but it was so handy. Once you had it, you're like, oh, that's really cool. You put in like Ford, GM, Honda, and then it'll give you other things that fit in that set.
Yep.
Right. And so you could put, if you're like, oh, who made that one cereal back in 1970? Blah, blah, blah. You just go in there and you remember things around it, and boom, you get it. You could probably do this with ChatGPT.
ChatGPT probably would do exactly that.
That was such a cool tool, and it's gone. It's dead.
Dead. On the garbage pile next to Reader.
My career. Oh, wait.
Oh. I'm sadder about Google Reader. Because as I've said,
I tried to save Google Reader too. That's a discussion.
But as I've said like a million times, I believe the death of Google Reader was the beginning of the end for the internet.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
All right.
Tried to save it, brothers. I tried.
There's nothing coming out this weekend because everybody's scared of Across the Spider-Verse. Next weekend, there's like 2 movies coming out. The Flash comes out next weekend.
Yeah, I wonder how that's gonna be. I love the Flash character.
I've heard good things about it.
Yeah,
and as far as like
sucks, but they always suck. So.
As far as like sort of time travel or jumping dimension stories, which seems to be all the rage these days. If they stick with the original slash or flash storyline there.
Yeah.
Infinite, is it Infinite, that one?
Flashpoint.
Anyway,
Flashpoint.
Flashpoint, that's what it is. It's actually a decent one.
Yeah, I like that book. The other one that opens next week is the Wes Anderson Asteroid City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you
better
know
than the
me,
last one.
I am all 100% in. That's all of my buttons in one
Well,
perfect little tie it up in a bow.
I'll definitely watch it, but as we discussed on the boat last night, Wes Anderson needs someone to tell him when he's being too Wes Anderson.
Too twee.
Hey, maybe throw in a Dutch angle once or twice in your movie instead of making every single shot look like a miniature set. But yeah, that's those are the only 2 upcoming movies. We got any shows or anything worth watching right now?
Let's see. Oh, you know what I watched on the plane to Denver was Better Luck Tomorrow.
All right, what's that about?
This is a prequel to Fast and Furious.
What?
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
it was Justin
Really?
Lin's movie in 2002. It's got the guy who plays Han.
Oh, this is
He's like-
I've heard of this. I've never seen it.
It's an MTV movie, so to give you an idea of what's going
Low
on here.
budget.
It's pretty low budget, but it was okay. It's surprisingly violent and surprisingly nihilistic. I mean, I get why people are like, "Oh, maybe Justin Lin's got a future."
I like Justin Lin. He's
Yeah.
done a lot of good
It's
stuff.
funny who came out of this and still had a career. Yeah, it's really interesting.
John Cho was in it.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
I'll add it to my list.
It's something.
All right. I watched Fool's Paradise yesterday or 2 days ago. That's not very good. Not really worth your time. Trying to think of anything else.
I listened to Wonder Boy, the audiobook for the book Wonder Boy, about Tony Hsieh of Zappos.
Oh,
his
that
decline.
guy.
Well, that's a rough listen, I gotta tell you.
I saw him when I was in New Zealand. He was like the headliner of
Like
Webstock
or
what?
Webstock, yeah. Webstock, yeah.
And I felt so horrible watching his presentation. Like I felt dirty because they had so many people come out like pretending to be happy and like dancing and the whole thing.
2012.
Yeah, and the whole thing was about like their happiness culture and like working hard. And I'm all like, this is just survivor bias, and it made me actively unhappy watching how like you are a wildly successful person telling people like all these inspiring things, but you are just the survivor biased thing. Like, oh, it made me feel really creepy. And then turned out the story behind it was really dark.
Yeah, and it's worth a listen if you've run into Tony in your everyday life. Yeah, I met him at some event outside of London. It was just like, and I remember meeting him going, "Oh, I like Zappos. Thanks, man. That was cool." And he's like, it's like he was haunted, And that sounds really weird because I'm not a superstitious person, but I was like, and I'm not that perceptive, to be clear, right? It's like usually when I meet people, I like everybody, everyone's fine, I'm very chummy, right? But this guy left it going. That was the weirdest billionaire I've ever met, and I've met some weird ass billionaires, But he was
Turns
just
out
like,
you give somebody $1 billion and it lets loose all their weird.
well, it's true. It's very true. But I mean, maybe a couple $100 million at the time. But yeah, it was one of those things where I'm like, he's a square peg in a round hole, And I've been in open source long enough that I know how to recognize that shit. But yeah, it was something.
Are you saying there's some colorful individuals
on this call?
Hey,
right.
Hey,
we're decent folk.
Hey, cut it out.
We mean well.
We're not just some stupid mother.
Whoa, you got your button.
Did it work?
Yeah. All right. Let's say goodbye to the internet, gentlemen. Farewell, Bravo Spoon.
See you, bye.
And also farewell to you, Chris Debona.
Yeah, great to see you. I'll see you at the meeting in a bit.
That was episode 791 of Geeks in Space. I was Rob Commander Taco Malda, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.